JP, here we go. Games, actual baseball games starting in the Grapefruit and Cactus shortly. There's no shortage of storylines once they start to play. One of the biggest, of course, Nolan Arenado taking real at-bats as a St. Louis Cardinal. Exciting times.
Well, Matt and Harold, good morning. Let's think about this. This is the last Friday without baseball games until November. Amen to that, my friends, as we get going here with the baseball season. Yes, Nolan Arenado, Mike Schilt told me this morning, in fact, Nolan Arenado will start the Cardinals Grapefruit League opener on Sunday against the Washington Nationals. So we will see Nolan on the field. You see him there going through some workouts in Jupiter, Florida. Mike Schilt saying today that Nolan has been as advertised from the standpoint of his work ethic, what he brings to a team. Of course, we have seen him do this for many, many years. Just his strong desire to win, which he's bringing now to a franchise there in St. Louis with a great tradition of it. A couple more notes there with the Cardinals. A tremendous story at MLB.com by Zach Silver about Dylan Carlson and their hopes for him for a full season. And Jack Flaherty gets the opening day nod for the regular season for the second straight year.
Yeah, hey, do we know this off the top of our heads? I know Costas will have this top of mind. Dylan Carlson, I believe, still has his rookie status for 2021, and I'm getting an affirmation in my ear from Keith. He has to be on a short list of real, legit Rookie of the Year candidates in the National League this season.
Yeah, he is.
I agree. And you think about the way that lineup's going to come together with Goldschmidt and Arenado with him. He'll have plenty of support. You love that. And, of course, on the opposite end of veterans, Yadier Molina behind the plate for the 17th consecutive opening day start. That's a record for any catcher with any one team in MLB history.
That's why Adam Wainwright should be the opening day starter. You got to have Yadi and Wainwright. This might be the last year they play together. At least the home opener.
Yeah,
I don't know where they open that.
I get that. You're making a good point.
I mean, come on. Jack Flaherty's going to be the ace, and he's going to be an all-star pitcher.
Right.
I get it. But, man, Wainwright and Yadi, what they have done, that honor goes to them.
And opening day, it's such a ceremonial thing.
Opening day. Let's rethink that. We got plenty of time. We haven't even thrown a ball in spring training yet. Let's rethink that.
Listen to us armchair quarterbacking everybody's, intel. Let's talk a little bit about other storylines.
A lot of merch that day.
Alex Cora and A.J. Hinch back in uniform. Alex going back to Boston, of course. A.J. trading in the Houston Astros costume for the Old English D. These are big stories in baseball. They're two of the brightest guys, two of the brightest managers certainly in baseball, and they're back in the dugout starting this year. This is exciting for them.
It is, and I think in hearing your conversation with Nico Goodrum about the Tigers, there's a lot of optimism there, and I love what Harold said about the double play combination too with Castro and Scope. There's a lot to like about the Tigers' general direction. I think a lot of signs for the Tigers point to making the playoffs maybe in 2022 as opposed to this year, but I really enjoyed hearing AJ talk about creating the culture of winning around this team. And then with Alex Cora, we just saw him there moments ago. The Red Sox, a bit of a rebuilding year, you might say, but again, someone who's been around a lot of winning in his career as a player, as a manager, as a GM in the World Baseball Classic too. So I think Alex is going to try to bring that same energy that he's always had around his game onto the field this year with a younger team. And one name to watch, I'm really curious to see how he breaks camp potentially, or at least comes up during the season, which would be Jarren Duran, who actually played this winter with the Caribbean Series team, the Criollos de Caguas, that Alex has a great familiarity with in Puerto Rico. So one prospect name to watch out for the Red Sox this year.
Hey, it's been such a tumultuous offseason for the Seattle Mariners, and a lot of that tumultuous stuff happening within the last week. They do have some things very much to look forward to on the field, including Jared Kelnick. What do we expect from him? Peer into the crystal ball for us.
Well, I think, Matt, there's a very legitimate chance that he breaks camp with the team as the opening day roster.
Got no choice
the
now.
26-man roster. Jared Kelnick, look at that swing. And now he is someone, of course, from the great state of Wisconsin. I love the way he has taken this ethic to his career where he wants to be great, expects to be great. There's a desire on his part to be a perennial all-star, Hall of Fame type player. And if you ask him in an honest moment, he will tell you exactly that. Now, you look at it there. He's 21 years old. I want to make this point. He is only about 6 months younger than Fernando Tatis Jr. 6 months younger. They were born in the same year, 1999. So when you think about impact and age, he has every expectation to be an impact player this year because Tatis, someone who I'm sure he compares himself to in his own mind, was making an impact at the major league level at an even earlier age than Kelnick is right now. And I think one of the key things the Padres did was put Tatis on the roster to begin that season, leading to that trust that produced eventually that long-term contract. So we'll see if maybe here with the new administration, perhaps there with Seattle at the president level, maybe there'll be a similar approach with Kelnick this year.
He was born in 1999.
Yeah.
I got socks that I still had.
Let's calm down with the comparisons to Tatis. I mean, we're talking about a shortstop that we haven't seen play before. I know Kelnick can hit. I love him. I'm a Mariner guy. He's going to be great. But we're talking about $340 million isn't just because they like him.
Yeah. Let me ask you about something.
Let's calm down a little.
Something you threw out there, kind of in a flippant manner, but I think you're right, and I think your intention was serious. Is there more pressure on them now to use him? He's got to be with the big league team now after these thinly veiled statements about service time and blah, blah, blah from the now deposed president and CEO. They're kind of backed into a corner with Kelnick now.
I would think he should be sitting there going, I'm breaking with the club.
Yeah.
It really put enormous pressure on them, right or wrong, but that's a fact. Go ahead, JP.
Well, and Kelnick is the kind of guy, I'm just from what I've had a conversation with him in the past, he's a very interesting person with a lot of belief in himself. He basically is a self-made prospect. He didn't even play high school baseball at his high school in Wisconsin. He's very much a self-made star. And if you ask him, he believes that this pressure and expectation now in spring and all the attention focused on him, trust me, he is loving this. He wants to get out there and prove it and really earn that spot on the roster, and I believe he will.
If he's half of what he's supposed to be, then that trade with the Mets looks like one of the worst trades the Mets have made in years and years. It just stinks more all the time, that deal. Bad one. All right, let's move on. Another really positive story in camp is the dugout return of Terry Francona. To think that the Indians accomplished what they did last year without him in uniform, a variety of health issues. We love this guy. We wish him the best. Look, he's a Hall of Fame manager. I don't know that it's talked about a lot for a guy like Terry Francona, who's still very much active, but the day he decides to shut it down, he's a Hall of Fame candidate for me, and it's great to have him back in the dugout in Goodyear this spring.
He belongs in Cooperstown. He belongs in the dugout. And I think that is something that everybody around the game agrees on. And yes, to your point, Matt, he really was absent largely from the Indians dugout beginning last August when we had some gastrointestinal issues that really led to other issues that he was dealing with throughout the rest of the year and then into the early part of this year. But by all accounts, he'll be back in the dugout and cheered roundly throughout the major leagues. Let's remember this, too, about Terry Francona. Based on the Red Sox tenure itself, 2 World Series titles there, including, of course, the one that broke the 86-year drought. And then he goes to Cleveland. The Cleveland Indians have the most wins in the American League since the day he took that team over before the 2013 season. That is more than the Yankees, more than any other team you want to mention. The only other team in baseball with more wins since Francona went to Cleveland is the Dodgers. And you consider where the Indians have ranked in many years with respect to payroll, that is extraordinary. That is indeed Hall of Fame level, and of course a Hall of Fame level person. Beyond all of that, someone who's beloved in the game, beloved by his players, and all the exits they've had, Lindor and Carrasco, certainly some concern there, and Bieber not available to begin the season. But think about all the winning they have done, despite all the players they have lost during that time. Do not count Cleveland and Terry Francona out as this new year begins.
Well, the other thing, too, you got to consider is he's managed through the old school thinking to this new school thinking that we're in now with the advanced analytics and everything else. He's gone from both and won on both ends of the spectrum. And his perspective is very unique in the game.
JP, good appetite whetting for spring training games to begin this weekend.
JP had one more thing.
What?
The center fielder in Boston. Tell us about this kid that's been coming up.
Yes, Jarren Duran. We were chatting about him earlier today. I think, to me, he is going to be a star that breaks through this year. In some ways, he gets comparisons to Jacoby Ellsbury. And I mentioned this, too, that Alex Cora knows him well because Jarren Duran went down and played in the Puerto Rican Winter League for the team that Alex has been familiar with, of course, Los Criollos de Caguas. And I think, in general, we will see players who maybe played winter ball, Harold, who were able to get down to Puerto Rico. And Duran is from California. He's an American-born player, but he went down to Puerto Rico, got himself into game shape. Watch. He is going to be ready to go with some scintillating catches in center field for the Red Sox this spring.
Interesting.
I love when you talk Espanol, JP. Way to go, buddy. John
El
Paul
placer
Morosi.
es mío. Gracias.